Hello, I'm LegenTerry, and what a wonderful day. It is the Switch 2 launch day. Sitting over here next to me, I have the Switch 2 and a few other accessories. I'm going to go ahead and start unboxing all these. I was waiting for a long time. It's actually like super late at night now because I thought FedEx wouldn't lose my stuff. But apparently a couple of things are getting shipped tomorrow or the day after. So I don't have the case or the Switch 2 camera. I'm just going to cover those in my review of the system and accessories later on. So anyways, what I do have is the Pro Controller. I have a SDXC Express card, the Mario Kart World physical copy, and the new GameCube. I don't know what they're calling this. It's the Nintendo GameCube controller for Nintendo Switch Online, I guess. But yeah, we're just going to cut over to the unboxing camera, and I'm going to move my microphone so it's not in the way. And I guess we'll figure out what we're going to get started with. I'm going to just go ahead and get this out of the way. Let's see. Focus. Oop, that way. This is just an XDSC card. Express card, sorry. These are the new standard that you need to use for the Switch 2. You can't use the old cards from the original Switch, so you need to upgrade to one of these. They are very expensive at the moment because they just came out when the Switch 2 was announced at the last trailer. So anyways, I don't think anybody's super interested to see this opened, so I'm just going to set it off to the side for now. Yeah, let's start with the console. This is what everybody's here for. So, looks like we have... Do we have tape? We don't have tape. I don't think. And then I assume we just, lift up like this. And there is the console, along with the two new Joy-Cons. The console, and we're going to have some comparisons here in a second. I've got everything set next to me, all the old stuff. That tablet is big. That's like, it feels like it's almost as big as the original Switch itself here. Let me just pull this over. Yeah, there's the original Switch. Hey there. Yeah, that's big. That's gonna be huge with the Joy-Cons on. Alright, let's remove this plastic. Feels like it's pretty form-fitted. I know a lot of people have been talking about how this was in the box. Apparently some people in New York had some really bad luck where some GameStop employees decided to staple a receipt to the front of the box, which, yeah, there's like no air gap between the front of the box and that screen, so that happened. That sucks. It's really bad. Oh man, it's so shiny. Hey. Let's see, on the back, oop, this is upside down. There's the Switch 2 logo. We have the new kickstand. Hopefully this is all in focus. I have it in manual because my automatic focus is really slow. There we go. So let's see. Ooh. Okay. I thought it would click, but it's pretty sturdy. So that's nice. Down here you have your slot for your new SD Express card. Feels like this can go in just about any angle. Yeah, that can go basically flat. Over here we have our first USB-C slot on the bottom. We have... I don't know if those are speakers or ventilation. I think those are speakers. Unless these are the speaker holes. Those might be speaker holes. Up top we have ventilation, we have our rocker for volume, our power, that's all the same. USB slot is off center on this top part, which is interesting. I think that's the headphone jack. That's the microphone over here. And then this will be our game card slot. Looks like now you open it from... Oh! That hinge is a little bit different. It's got this metal piece. Huh. Alright, and then, let's see. There is the slot for the Joy-Con. That's the left side. That's the minus sign. That is the slot for the other side. Let's go ahead and get these Joy-Cons out. They have the new magnetic system instead of their standard rails. There we go. Oh, that is nice looking. I really like that colorway. You got your ZL and ZR, I think that's what those are. Apparently that's how the magnets attach, is these are steel pieces. So that's pretty nice. I'm already getting smudges on it. Look, there's the mythical C button. That's for chatting. And then the home button. You've still got your 4 lights to tell who's actually attached. And then back here, this extra little nub, and that's for releasing the console. I think it just is a mechanism to push it out from the inside. I don't want to hit any actual buttons yet, because I don't want to turn the console on yet. But yeah. Also, not IR sensor, sorry. The, what's it called? Optical sensor right here. That is for using the mouse mode. If you didn't know, you can turn these new Joy-Cons on their side and put them on a surface. I don't really have a surface here, but essentially you hold them like that and you can use them in mouse mode now. It's got some pretty nice heft to it. Sticks feel pretty good. Hopefully they got rid of stick drift, because that was a big problem. Mine all had stick drift. Go ahead and get this one out. This one's basically the exact same, just it has the capture button instead of the C button and the home button. Shouldn't be too surprising. Again, I really like these colorways. That's a really, really solid blue. Also forgot there's the sync button on the inside so that you can pair these separately. Alright. Let's go ahead, before we progress, make sure that's the right side. So instead of the rail system like the original Switch, now these go straight into that slot. You can see the tab there for transmitting data. And it should just... Oh, that's a solid click. I'm afraid to... Oh yeah, that's not going anywhere. Let's see. Okay, that works pretty well. Let me see if I can see just how far away. I'm gonna apply no pressure. Oh yeah. That's solid. Okay. Get the other one on. Again, I'm just gonna apply like 0 pressure. I'm gonna let it go on its own. That is solid. That is a solid, rigid system, and look how big it is. Hang on. So again, here's the comparison in size. I think it's huge. I don't have an OLED. This is the original model to compare it to, but like, look at the, I don't know if you can see the bezel on the screen because of the lighting, but you can see how big that bezel is on the original screen, and this is like all screen basically. I think there might be like 2 or 3 millimeters around the edges. Let's see. Oh yeah, you can see about that much is not screen. That's the bevel. On the top and bottom though, it's hard to tell. It might stretch almost all the way down. It's to about there, it looks like. Alright, I guess before we continue, I'm going to get this other stuff out of the way just so that we have more room on the table. It's not a very big table. This is the original. Yeah, you can feel some drag on here. Also, you can kind of hear some noise that's just from overuse. Feels really quiet. Alright, so we got our Switch 2 system. We're going to set that off to the side for now to start picking apart the rest of this box. By the way, this box is like dense. Like it still has as much weight as it had. Like the console itself weighs as much as the box currently does. It tells you how much is left in there. Alright, in this little section, what do we have? This might just be the instruction manual underneath. Yep, that looks like an instruction manual, and HDMI singular HDMI cable. And it has that badge there to tell you that it is indeed an ultra high speed HDMI cable, which I believe is rated up to 8K. I might be wrong, it might just be 4K 60, like the console itself. But I don't know how those protocols work, it might be the same one. It's pretty much the same. Not much to say about an HDMI cable. It's rubberized on the outside, it's not braided or anything. Let's see, let's go ahead and get these bad boys out. These are our Joy-Con 2 straps. These are a little bit different than the ones on the original Switch. And the reason is because of the mouse mode. So, let me just show you with the right side Joy-Con. So these little black pads are the surfaces that it should sit on, and then it should just, clicks on like that. And that way, when you have it on the mouse, or sorry, when you have it in mouse mode, you have it on a surface like that. It rubs on those little black pads instead of on the actual Joy-Con themselves. Now, I don't know how to release this, unless I just do it. Okay, you just do it with that. Pretty cool. I am a little bit worried these will get bent or broken over time because it is just like a hollow body piece, but I mean, it feels solid enough. It's not like 3D printed, you know? You got a little fastener down here on the bottom. Assume it slides, yeah. But that's not super exciting, so we're gonna set these off to the side. Put this back on. And then here, I believe this is the new Joy-Con 2 grip. A little bit different looking than the original because they had to be designed different because, of course, there are no Joy-Con rails on the new one. They snap in instead, so they are completely flat. There's no little edge like there is on this to make it more ergonomic. I guess we'll go ahead and see how that feels when it's all put together. Again, that solid snap is really good. There you go, completely flush. It does feel a little bit weird not having that edge piece, but these do feel a lot bigger than the original Joy-Cons, so that is an upgrade. See, one of the biggest complaints for me is that I have really, really big hands, and the Joy-Cons were not made for big hands. They were made for very tiny hands, and I get very, very cramped using these every time I would go to use them, so I needed a Pro Controller to play games, basically. I could play them separated every now and then if I was feeling a little quirky, or if I didn't feel like getting a Pro Controller out. But that's how that fits in the hand. You can see how much further that goes. Like all the way down to the palm, all the way up to the shoulders, where my fingers are resting. It's big. And separately, that's how they fit in the hand. Again, I like the weight of these. These are like exceptionally heavier than the other ones too. Like, so let's say it's about like, I don't know, maybe 110, 120% heavier than the other one. You can see the size difference there. One thing that is different about these, you can see on the bottom of this one, they had the IR sensor, which I think it was like 14 games used total over the entire lifespan of the Switch. Not super useful or important. They actually removed it on these, so it is no longer part of the Switch 2, which means those games are not backwards compatible. I think there was like It was like 1-2-Switch used it, and then some WarioWare games, and some other random gimmicky games that nobody's really super excited about. But if you're one of those, I'm sorry, you'll need to keep your Switch 1 around for those. Alright. What else do we have? Here we have our USB-C cable, USB-C to USB-C for charging for the controllers, and for the console itself, I assume. Okay, because yeah, it's a separate piece. So now the brick is separate. I don't think it was that way on the original. USB-C. And that plugs straight into the back of the dock, which we're going to get out once I get this stuff out of the way. This is the Switch 2 dock, which it is also larger than the original. If you can't tell from the side, it's thicker. I think there's an active cooling fan in this side of it right here. We'll see, how do we remove this? Do you just... Oh. I don't want to break it. I'll look at it in a minute. But yeah, pretty sleek. It's got some ventilation on the bottom now. I assume that's for that cooling fan and just to keep the console cool. It's in there. 2 USB-A types. Probably 3.1 if I had to assume. I don't know for sure. Alright, let me go ahead and figure out how to get this open. Okay, it was easy. You just kind of pop it off. It doesn't really have a way to sit in there, I don't think. Oh, maybe. Oh, maybe you put the top in first. Trying to do this with a camera in my face is a little bit hard. There we go. It just kind of snaps in there. And you can just pop it off like that. Back here we have our AC adapter port right there. We have our HDMI out, and this one, just like the OLED model, has an Ethernet port. Thank God you can have wired without having to upgrade to an OLED model. It's going to be so much more stable than using it wirelessly in most cases. I would highly recommend, if you get one of these, wire it. Okay, so that pretty much covers the console itself. Yeah, before I get everything put away, I guess I should show you what this looks like in the dock, just to compare. So there you go. Sticks out just about the same, maybe a little bit more than the original. I think it is a little bit more. Just look at that size difference. Still can't get over how big it is compared to the original. That is some wild stuff right there. I guess I'll go ahead and turn this on. I'm not going to sit here and go through all the setup process because I need to download all of my data from the cloud into the new system through the system transfer tool. So I'll just show you the startup screen. Got some nice vibes. Alright, I think next we'll go ahead and open up the GameCube controller. Just because I'm kind of curious about this one, and just for our comparison. This is the one that came with, I believe it was Smash Ultimate. I also have the Smash for Wii U version, but they're practically identical. They're practically the exact same one that came with the original GameCube. Same molding, same connector and everything. This one is a little different. There's the back of the packaging. It's out of focus, isn't it? Close enough. Now, how do we open this bad boy? Oh. Try not to mangle the packaging too much. I might put these on a shelf somewhere. Haven't decided yet. There it is. It's got this little plastic covering piece, which looks really dirty. I don't know if you can see that. It's got like a bunch of cardboard dust all over it. I saw that when I was picking it up on the front porch too. And there is the GameCube controller itself. It is of course the original purple color. And I'm not quite sure how to remove this. Because it just comes out like this. Oop. Probably just grab it. Yeah, there we go. The one thing that is different, this can be fully wireless, I believe. I don't think you need to have it wired. Also, okay, all the buttons are up here. I thought the buttons were, there we go. I thought all the buttons would be down here on the face, but I guess that would be too crowded. So up here you have your USB-C connector. Where's my focus? There we go. We have our USB-C connection. We have our sync button. This looks like home up here. Capture chat, the new chat button. And also, something that's different, instead of just having LR and Z, we also now have a ZL button, which is very, very tiny. I don't know why they didn't just put a second one of these over here. I mean, it works, but it's weird. Also, you're not going to be able to use it with most Switch 2 games just because of the fact that the sticks do not have L3 or R3. So this is going to be specifically for using with the GameCube Virtual Console most of the time, or the other consoles I assume would also be able to use this. D-pad feels the same. Start pause button. A little clickier than I remember. Same controller it used to be. Still very, very good. One of my favorite controllers of all time. What else is in the box? I assume there's a USB-C cable. USB-C to USB-A. That is all there is. I'm not going to bother taking it out right now because there's no point. Alright, we have two things left here. Let us start with the Switch 2 Pro controller. And again, we're going to do a little comparison with the classic Switch Pro controller. This one has the translucent plastic design. You can kind of see through it and see some details and stuff of the board. I had some problems with these specifically. I don't know if it was with these or if it's like I have dirty electric or something, but for some reason the USB-C charging on these always takes me like 3 or 4 plugins to actually work. Really weird. Let's get a feel for those. Alright, that's enough of that. Let's do what you came here for. There's plastic on these. Give me 1 second. Came prepared. And just like that, we should be free to open this. Oh, come on. There is, once again, USB-A to USB-C cable. Get those with every single accessory, basically. This is the brand new Pro controller. Already feels pretty comfortable. I think it's thinner around the grip base. I don't know if you can see a difference, but it's a little bit thinner. You got more surface area on the other one, but this one's more comfortable in the hand, it feels like. Now, there are some big differences in this one and the old one. As you can tell, for one, no C button on the old one, C button on this one. There is a 3.5mm jack right there at the base of the controller. This one does not because, let's just say the Nintendo Switch was not communication friendly for online play. Yeah, it feels really good. The other major thing back here, if you can tell, there are now grip buttons. So that is the GR and the GL button right here. Those can be programmed to do basically anything that you want per game on a per game basis. It doesn't feel like you'll accidentally click them unless you're really gripping the controller, because they are recessed. They don't stick out like other Pro controllers. Really heavy construction too. The weight's about the same. Feels like there's more surface area on the face on this one. Also, the plus and minus buttons, more pronounced. These are low recessed on the old one. These stick out pretty far from the face. I don't know if you can tell on camera with the lighting I currently have. But yeah, they're like well over the top of it. Sticks feel very smooth. Also, it feels like there's a lot of action in them. Like you can go very far to one side. D-pad, practically the same. This one's a little bit louder, but that could also just be because it's an older controller. Let's see. How's this feel? Maybe a little bit mushier. They're not clicky. L3 and R3 feel pretty solid. And of course you have your C button to connect with communication and chat. Solid controller. Pretty happy with the build quality. Also, it's two-tone, so as you can tell on the top, that's a USB-C connection. This might be I don't think it's a microphone bump. I think it's another light for charging. That's what it is. And then the connection button for syncing. Ooh, shoulders feel smooth. I mean, yeah, these are clickier. These are silky. That feels really good. Okay, let's move on to our last thing. Alright, last but not least, we have the physical copy of Mario Kart World. A lot of people got the digital copy because it was cheaper. I decided to go physical because I like collecting the cases. Even though a lot of the cases for the Switch 2 look ugly, if you haven't seen, they have a big band on the front down here. It's covered in text that says stuff about like digital copies and digital key cards. That's a whole debacle. That's for another video. I figure I'll go ahead and get this open, and I'm going to do the, the initiation test you must go through when you buy a Switch. In this case, the Switch 2. Gonna give it a taste. And that is because every Switch cartridge Nintendo produces, they put a bitterant cover on it to prevent animals or small children from ingesting it. But, everybody's gotta give it a little taste just to see what it tastes like. I should probably just use the knife, although it's not that sharp. There we go. I just didn't want to damage the case. Oop, a little bit left. Don't you hate that when there's just like little slivers of plastic wrap left over. And in the case, man, that feels bad. Compared to the old days when you used to have like a whole game manual sitting over here, and like the game itself would take up a large portion of the case. Now we just have this tiny little guy hanging out down there. Does have reversible cover art though, that's pretty cool. So if you're not a fan of the standard, you can flip it for all that. Go ahead and get this out. Something different about these is they are now red. As I try to focus the camera. Oh, this might be the wrong way. That's the wrong way. Is that as focused as I can get? Wow. There you go. New Switch 2 games are red. They have the Switch 2 logo emblazoned at the top. They will still fit into a Switch 1, and surprisingly, I've heard Switch 2 games that have a compatible Switch 1 version can be put into a Switch 1, and you'll just play the Switch 1 version. So that's neat. Let's focus. No, that's as focused as I can get. Okay, let's give it a taste. Here it is. I'm going to properly sterilize this after I give it a taste. Just gonna give it a little lick on the corner. I don't remember, it must have been 7 or 8 years ago I did this the first time, but I don't remember the taste. Maybe this one's cherry flavored. Nope. Yep, that's got some stuff on it. Okay, well, this has been my Switch 2 unboxing. If you liked it, like the video, stick around, subscribe. I'm gonna have more videos covering the Switch 2 and all the stuff that goes along with it pretty soon. I'm also covering some other games that have come out recently. Expedition 33, I've got a script that's halfway written that I need to finish sometime when I get done with all this. Anyways, hope you have a good day. Hopefully, if you got a Switch 2, you're having fun with it. If you haven't, hopefully you can pick one up for yourself soon. I've been LegenTerry, and I'll see you around later. Bye.